What's up, everybody? I'm Elvis, your host tonight. Dax is out, and I quote, shopping for a new G string. So he'll catch up with us some other time, I guess. So by myself tonight, see how this goes. But we got a very interesting guest we've been trying to get on the show for a while now. Schedules didn't line up, but we're happy to have him. I'm going to just add him to the stage here. We have our friend of the show, Van Mathias. How are you doing, Van? Oh, I have your mic muted. There we go. Van, how are you doing?
What's up, man? I'm doing good. Happy to be here.
Good, good. It looks like he's recording from cell block D, jail cell.
This is my cinder block prison here at the office, buried under the stands at the Seaback pool here.
That's right. So why are you in the office at this time of night?
Busy week, busy time of year. On my second job, or I guess my actual job. We've got some pool renovations going on here, so staying a little later, making sure that we get everything moved out. We're going to be out of a pool here for a little while this summer, but got some other pools on campus that we're going to be training at.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Are they long course?
Yeah, we've got a nice 50-meter outdoor pool we're going to be taking advantage of here pretty soon.
Is it fairly new? I feel like I remember this.
I think it's been around a while, but it's definitely been renovated since it's been put in.
Okay. So you mentioned you have one or two jobs. Do you want to walk us through what that is? Because I know they always mention you as the director of ops, and I'm like, yeah, okay, director of ops at IU, like.
Yeah. So it actually is a real job. I did start here. This has now been my second full year, but I am director of operations for IU Swim and Dive. So I'm basically doing all the stuff that the coaches don't want to do, all the dirty work, paperwork behind the scenes. I would say I'm a bit of a paper pusher, so it's not sexy by any means, but it pays the bills, and kind of the glue guy for the team, because if we didn't have this position, Ray and those guys would have to be behind their desks all day getting this stuff done. So anywhere from travel, gear, scheduling, all those kinds of things, that's my end.
What's funny is I actually had that same job at a small school in Winter Park, Florida, which is basically Orlando. It's called Rollins College. I was the assistant coach, but also like the director of ops, because small school, you had to play two roles.
Yep.
Olive Garden and Jimmy John's knew me by name.
Dude, I've got just about every local joint on speed dial. They know me by first name. I mean, swimmers, they eat a lot too, so we're always ordering.
We ordered so much food just basically as an athletic department. I don't know if they do this over there, but some of the local joints would come and like present to us and be like, hey, this is our food. This is what we serve. And like, this is our catering menu. Keep us in mind.
Oh yeah. We actually got an expo coming up here in a couple weeks, and I'll be there. I'll be there.
Expo is crazy.
Yeah, it's an expo because I think it's all of athletics. They're trying to get, like you said, cater to our business and try and make sure we use them for the future.
It's a big need though, because not many restaurants, people don't really think about this. It's not easy to feed like 50 athletes all at once at the same time immediately after their competition is done.
No, man, I'll tell you what, it's probably the least favorite part about my job. Because it's something, it's something that you take for granted, right? Like as an athlete, you're like, oh, the food's just supposed to be here. I get my meal to me. I'm not going to say that all of our athletes are like that, but there's definitely people that need to eat, at a certain time. So that's my least favorite part is, because you're right. It's tough feeding 50, 60. We've had full team trips before, and it's been like 90 people at once. And it's hard to just go up to a restaurant and be like, hey, can you get 90 custom meals for us like tomorrow? you know,
Right.
I mean, they love the business. They love that you're going to pay them, but like, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, you definitely need ample notice. And then, working at a small school like Rollins, you're on a budget. So the coach is like, hey, try to keep it at $11 a meal. And I'm like, what are we going to get? Like a side of fries for everybody? Like $11?
No, thankfully I don't have to deal with too much of that, but it's tough feeding a team. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah. When I swam at Kentucky and no one thought about budget, it was, oh, give me 2 sandwiches, 5 chips. It was crazy. And then on top of that, you got to think about snacks, Gatorade, water. You got to pack all that stuff in the butt. Hey man, we could connect on this all day, but I liked it because I'm in the food and beverage industry, like outside of all this swim stuff. So
yeah,
I could talk food all day. So that's your only job right now?
Well, I say I got multiple jobs because now that I'm back in the pool, now I've got a second job that I got to manage, which is training and being fast in the pool. So really when I'm done with this job, through the day and I got to train, I clock in the pool. But outside of that, I mean, those are my two. That's I used to say that swimming's my side hustle, but now it's like it's kind of becoming a main hustle. Let's say that.
I think it's safe to say that once you have an American record, it probably is going to slide in the main area.
Yeah, it's funny too because like all the people that I work with in athletics here at IU, they're like, "Were you just at some competition or something? Were you traveling?" I was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Wow, that's so incredible!" And it's kind of funny because they don't know. No one really knows swimming unless you're in the swimming world. So those people that I see on the regular, they're like, "Congratulations!" And that's nice to hear. But yeah, it's my second job right now.
Yeah, I mean, training full time is a job. I look back at college and I'm like, how did we do that? How did we train and go to class and all this other stuff? Like, it makes no sense to me. Like, I can't, like, obviously I went through it, but thinking back, if I had to recreate it, I don't think I could.
Well, yeah, I think it's amplified too. Like when you finish school, the amount of free time that you have when you're done swimming and done with school, you're like, what do I do with myself? Right. That kind of puts it into perspective because yeah, it's a lot being in the classroom, being in the pool all the time.
Yeah. When I was a director of ops, I was still kind of training as well. So I would go to the pool like on off hours, like either in the morning or like weirdly in the afternoon when no one was there. And then I would help coach during swim time. But you're training with Coach John Long, correct?
Yeah. I mean, I would say that's what I was doing when I first got here, when I wasn't, taking it too seriously and just kind of using it as like a good workout in the day. We come in mid-morning or, maybe before practice time when the coaches got a break. And yeah, we just swim and mess around. But now we're kind of on a schedule and training, and I'll swim with the team. Sometimes I'll swim with John. John's been training a little bit. But yeah, now it's a little bit more rigid, I'd say, and structured.
Oh, John's training. Secret.
Yeah. So he always says someone's got to hold me accountable. So
is he keeping up with you?
I can't. I don't think I'd say that, but he's getting better. I mean, he's a little bit more removed from stuff in the pool than I am.
Fair enough. That's interesting. Training next to your coach. I mean, I think I would like that.
Well, we had for a while. I mean, we had a good little chunk of people that would train, especially people from the staff, just because the pool deck's right here. So like if you got to get like a 30, 45-minute workout in, just hop in the pool and get your workout in. So that's kind of what we were doing a lot of like last year, just kind of staying in shape. But then it wasn't until this summer where it was like, let's take this thing seriously.
So what made you do that switch from I'm just swimming to stay in shape to now I'm going to take this seriously? Like what was the click?
World trials up in Indy. Because I travel with the team for all the meets. So we had a group of college athletes that were there in our pro group. and John and Ray were watching the meet and myself, and they were like, this is very doable. Like if you didn't stop swimming after college, like you would be right there. I was like, I'd probably, like mess around and, let's see what we could do. And John's like, well, you could get cuts and swim at that tier summer meet. I don't know what the hell they call these meets anymore. But that summer meet at the end of summer, he's like, you could easily get there and maybe make a team. And so I was like, all right, let's do it. I mean, we had like 8 weeks, 9 weeks. It was a couple months before the end of July. So that was the moment where it was like, the coaches were like, man, you should be up there with those guys. And I was like, well, maybe, but here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, no big deal. Just an American record leader. No problem. Here we are. So what I'm sure everybody wants to ask, what are you doing that got you from I'm just swimming for fun and staying in shape to now I'm the American record holder? Like what is the training program, the mindset, like everything in between those 2 points in that short window?
Yeah. I mean, I'll kind of start with like the training. I mean, obviously me and John and Ray sat down because I had to get Ray's blessing on this, right? Because he's still my boss outside of the pool. He's like, if you want to take this seriously, I'll give you some leniency on going to meets and things like that. So it took me a little bit to get more organized with work here so I could spend a little more time in the pool. But I sat down with John and, John likes to push the envelope and try new things and experiment. And he was just like, he basically just got a brand new guinea pig to try out some stuff with. And funny enough, Ray and John was like, they both told me, they're like, especially Ray was like, there's this, niche guy down in Australia. He's doing this cutting edge kind of stuff. And, we might find some benefit with that. And of course he's talking about Cam. I know who Cam is. And, John actually had a couple of talks with Tim, Cam's coach and whatnot, and got some ideas from him. And we just kind of like planned to swim a 50 and 100 breaststroke that summer, mostly the 100 just so I could get a cut because I didn't even have cuts. My 2 years expired times. Like I had to go some time trial and just get cuts to swim, which was funny enough because I was like in a heat with like 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds, and they're like, good luck. And I'm like, you too. But that was step one, was just kind of like, how are we going to get cuts to make the meet? And from there, we were like, I can't be in the pool all the time. You look at Cam's training, he's being super successful with what he does, the absolute extreme, I would say, for what he swims. And we were like, let's kind of base it off that. So the first 4 weeks, I would say, were just like getting in shape, maybe doing a lot more dryland. We're swimming maybe 1,500, 2,000 a workout, just trying to like get the feel for the water and everything back. Because the speed was there. Like I was fresh, I'm ready to go, but I didn't have the endurance to get through a 100 or the last, 15 meters of a race. So once that was done, then it was like, we just got to be there. And, a little bit of background, like I took 2 years away from the sport, but all I did was lift. Like my mom and my uncle kind of come from a bodybuilding background. So they kind of had me on like almost like a bodybuilding plan, gain muscle, physique, things like that. I did zero cardio. So I got big. Like when I got back here, I think I was like 235 when I got back to Kansas. What, like not like I wouldn't say a completely healthy 235 either. Like I had some mass on me. But the strength was there to be successful in the pool. So I just think it was like finding the feel again and whatnot. But working a job too, I say like a lot of it, some of it was like curiosity, like what can we do in the pool and still be fast? Almost like Cam's perspective, like, trying new things and trying to learn what is maybe optimal training. Part of it's also necessity. Like I can't do doubles a day, like with the college team. I just don't have 4 hours in a day to do that. So part of it was necessity with my training. But, I think the other biggest thing that you mentioned is like the mindset. Like I'm on borrowed time right now, like this is the DLC for me, essentially. I did my time in college in club swimming, and my job is hard enough as it is. So like swimming's an escape for me right now. It's like my treat after 3, 4, 5 hours of staring at a computer all day. So I think the mindset is like, I'm just appreciative of the time I get in the pool. Right. So it's not like I'm stressing about times or like I got to go faster. Like I'm just enjoying every step of it. Like I said, I'm on borrowed time. Like this is my extra life, essentially.
That's so interesting. Because really it almost sounds like what master swimmers say, like, hey, I have a full-time job. I still want to scratch that itch, and there's no pressure here to compete. We come here, we swim, and then we go drink a beer afterwards. Like,
yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just a glorified master swimmer at this point. I don't know. But that's kind of what it feels like for me too. Because I think, like I said, like I have enough stress in the day as it is. Swimming doesn't need to stress me out. Like obviously I want to do good. I want to perform, but like that just comes from confidence and knowing what I'm doing in the pool is going to help me achieve that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We, interviewed Cam last week or 2 weeks ago. Time flies, but he did mention you a couple times. So, well, shout out to Cam,
Yeah. Shout out.
Yeah. So he's walked us through kind of his typical day and his typical set, and he kind of alluded to some stuff that you were doing as well. So I'm going to give you the floor to kind of like walk me through. Let's say I'm joining you for practice tomorrow. Like what are we doing from gym to the pool?
Well, tomorrow would be Friday. So Friday we usually have a speed endurance, what we call like speed endurance, which is a lot of power racks or pulleys, resistance training, and then almost like, I wouldn't say back end, but like race pace and like broken efforts. So typically, usually before that, we'll have a dryland session, which I will say, I feel like that was one of the things this past summer that really got me in shape was dryland. We do a lot of med balls, calisthenics, body weight stuff for dryland. And one of the things we did was like med ball slams against the wall, like chest passes. And John was like, if you're going to finish 100 breasts, you got to do a minute straight of med ball chest passes. He's like, that's like 100 breasts right there. And I was like, all right. But I'll tell you what, that shit whipped me into shape fast. and it helped. I mean, like when you only got 4 weeks basically to like shaping up, I was like, all right, this is something we got to do. But we do a lot of that for dryland on Friday, core work, things like that. And then hop in the pool and do that speed endurance. It's usually not a lot of warm up. Usually you got like a pulley set before the endurance. And it's, repeat pulleys, maybe a 25 fast, 3-4 times. And then you get right into the speed endurance, which is anywhere from like a broken 50 to 100, sometimes broken 75s. Sometimes we'll do like med ball slams and shit in between. But it's really just kind of like that anaerobic threshold. Technique is always a must. But that's typically a Friday, I would say. If you were to join me tomorrow, that's what we'd be doing. And, on a weekly basis, I'd say that's probably one of the harder practices of the week for me, at least.
I mean, everyone knows and is starting to copy now, watching Cam do weighted pull-ups, and that seems to be the new talk of the town. So is any of that incorporated in your day-to-day?
We're doing it during the lifts in the week. I'd say we're doing weighted pull-ups when we lift, but nothing next to a pool. That's like maybe that's something John might throw in there. I know he's definitely thought about it and gotten some inspiration from Cam doing that, but we're not doing anything like that right now currently.
Yeah. So basically, just if you are doing weighted pull-ups, it's in the gym, not on a pool day.
Yeah, it's not right into like a 50 off the blocks or 25 all out. No, not yet. Maybe.
Yeah. And what kind of lifts are you doing? Are they Olympic lifts like power clean, snatches, or because I know what Cam's lifting program looks like, so I'm just kind of curious as to what yours would look like.
Yeah, usually the last kind of current phase that we had was only 2 lifts a week, but they were pretty chunky lifts. We would do usually 3 or 4 Olympic or compound lifts. Like you start off with a clean and a squat and maybe a bench, and then usually some sort of auxiliary, like either a row or a pull up, or what else were we doing there for a little bit? We always do biceps, some tricep work. So I'd say lifts kind of like usually an hour and a half. So, I mean, they're decent lifts, but, in a more strength cycle, we'll maybe add one more lift in there and kind of spread it out. But at least in the past cycle, it was like lift heavy as shit, and see what we can do during the week when we're a little sore. Like this week, this is my first week back, like kind of back at it after Norway, and I'm hurting a little bit. Yeah.
Well, that's more similar to the style of lifting I prefer when training. Big lifts, Olympic lifts, heavy as shit. Cam was more heavy, but almost like pull up and row dominant. And I think he adds in some other lifts in a different cycle. But from what I've seen, I found that interesting. But it's working for him, so it works for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's conducive to what we do in the pool, but it's not like, we're gonna do this because it's the same as your catch. Like, no, it's like this is gonna help you build some strength and help you finish a race.
Yeah, I actually don't believe in like 95% of the stuff I see online where it's like someone hanging from a bar and they're like doing a dolphin kick or something, like things on land, trying to mimic the water on land. A lot of it is just bullshit. it just looks weird, and I don't believe in it. So
yeah, I'm not gonna say. I mean, maybe there's some benefit to it. Like, I don't know but I'm not doing it. I don't think it's hurting me by not doing it. But who knows?
So what inspired you all to go all the way to Norway for this swim meet?
Oh man! So shout out Brian Benzing if he watches this. He texted us, maybe in September. So this was a while ago, and he lived in Norway for 3 years. So he's got connections and all kinds of things out there. And he was like, they hold this meet out there every year, Bergen Swim Festival. I know the meet director, Marcus, super cool. He's like, he'd love to have some of us out as like a pro group. I was like, sure, why not? I was like, just please don't be during NCAAs, please. Because I knew like the coaches wouldn't let me go if that was the case. But it happened to be in April. So I was like, let's do it. So we all got tickets and whatnot. And, they had the rollout for us. And I mean, it was just like crazy. It was the best meet I think I've been a part of, like maybe ever. I mean, just in terms of how it was run and the hospitality, and felt like everybody gave a shit about swimming out there. No, I can't say enough good things about Bergen Swim Festival and the people who run it.
Yeah, Norway's got some of the top restaurants in the world too. You get to check out any of the sites?
Oh yeah, I took me and a couple of the other pro guys. We took a couple of days after the meet, a little vacation, and checked out all the spots. I mean, saw the fjords. We hiked up the mountains. No, it was sick. It was sick.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, you can't travel all the way out there just to swim a meet and then turn back around, because then even how far in advance did you go out there? Because you got to get adjusted to the climate, the time change, the food, all that.
Yeah, we left Monday, and they're I think 6 hours ahead of us. So
Yeah.
we got there sometime Tuesday, their time, and yeah, it was tough. Like, I didn't really sleep on the flight. Like, I just couldn't sleep. And we got there and we all tried to stay up. And I think I ended up sleeping like 14 hours that first day. I mean, I just like knocked out. But like right after that, I felt like I was right on, lockstep with time there. So we went out a little bit early to make sure we weren't going to be dead.
Yeah. I was about to say, like, sleeping 14 hours probably helped you, because when I hit that time change, my body wakes up naturally to the origination of like 7 a.m. So whatever time it is over there, it's like, oh crap. So if you can sleep through that, like, that's a win.
No, I think that was maybe one of the reasons I did so well. I was like, I just cached for so long. And luckily, like, I wasn't waking up at 3 a.m. I know some people, had a little bit harder time adjusting, but I think that big sleep on the front end was nice.
Yeah. I always adjust better on the way back than the way. I'm always like falling asleep right before dinner or something. But for those of you watching, if you plan on competing overseas or any time change or time zones, the rule of thumb is you should be there 1 day per every hour change. So if it's a 6-hour difference, you should be there 6 days ahead to adjust. That's the rule of thumb.
I don't think we hit 6. I don't think we did not hit 6 days.
Doesn't sound like it at all.
No, I think the meet started on Friday. So maybe 3 or 4 days. That's all right. Seemed to work pretty well.
I actually saw a study the other day they went back through history and saw whenever a West Coast team played an East Coast team, they saw the amount of time, like the win percentage, and teams that had to switch time zones lost like almost, I don't want to say 100. It was a predictable amount, like a very high percentage, maybe in the 80s or something crazy. So I guess the NFL kind of caught on to that. And now these teams will travel, 2-3 days early if they have to switch time zones. And then the win percentage flip-flopped basically. So there's a big performance thing in there with changing time zones.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think our staff are all big believers in that, especially when we travel to conference and things like that, like making sure you get there early and you're ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, the body is such a habitual creature, like anything outside of your habit can kind of throw you off, or it can heighten your senses and put you on. You never know how people are going to adapt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're back now in Bloomington, Indiana. From what's the next steps now? You have the American record. Congratulations again, by the way.
Thank you.
So what's next in your sights?
Well, right now I'm kind of like locked in work mode, just trying to make sure, because I left my laptop here when I was gone in Norway. Might have been 10 days behind on work, but feeling like I'm caught up now. So I've kind of been in work mode, but the next steps are, me and John kind of sat down and planned out all the summer before we left. And we're going to meet up in Indianapolis next week, I think, to just mess around and swim a little bit. But the Tier Pro Series will probably be the next meet we like, I don't know, fully go for, but make sure we're ready to swim fast there. And then Pan Packs at the end of summer. So there's not too much competition going on this summer, but my schedule slows down significantly with work here. So I'm able to like focus on swimming way more, which is nice, and be outside. Like I said, we had a nice outdoor pool. I'm going to get tan this summer, I promise. I'm like the widest one on the pool deck right now. That's not going to be the case in 3 months.
Yeah, we need to have you looking like me or Dax when you come back on the show after the summer.
I do get dark. I can get dark if I'm just outside enough. So that's one of the big goals, I guess, this summer.
I actually saw a photo of you. It was after one meet where you swam at IU. I don't know what it was, but it was early in the season, and you had the stash going. The hair was out, and you were pushing. You were probably close to that 230 you were talking about earlier. You were pushing some weight.
No,
Respectfully.
I mean, I think it was the tier pro in Austin. Everyone was giving me shit. They were like, "You're looking chunky," and I might have been. I mean, they got a lot of good Mexican food down there in Austin. I'm not going to deny that. Shout out Cabo Bob's out there, but I've been taking the sodium bicarb and stuff like that, and that gave me a nasty bloat before some of those races. So yeah, I might have been looking a little big.
Yeah, someone sent us a photo of you on deck, and I was like, "Is that Mario the plumber? Like, who the hell is this guy?"
No, I'm slimming down. Don't worry, I'm gonna be.
No, like I can look at you now. And I'm like, this is not the person I saw in the photo. This is a different person.
I'm not photogenic. I'll tell you that right off the start. Like, you're gonna get some bad angles of me if you don't try.
When we clip this up, I'm gonna post that photo.
I mean, I probably have the same photo you're talking about. I've got a couple.
I would make that my profile for the rest and just put American record holder. What are you going to do about it?
No, we'll be looking good come this summer. It'll change.
But the fact that you swam I think you had swam like an 18 something 50 free at the time of that photo, and I was like, there's no way. There's no way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that was probably like January-ish when we were dual meet season. Yeah, that was coming off of tier pro in Austin, so that makes sense.
So how are you swimming that fast, carrying that much, in your words, bloat?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm a big dude, but I'm not like the biggest guy. Like, shout out Finn Brooks. I mean, that dude is actually like 235, 240. And it's all muscle. But I don't know. Like, I worked and refined a lot of things. Like, I moved through the water pretty well. I get off the start more. I mean, having mass off the starting blocks helps a lot. Mm-hmm. But, I wouldn't say it's like the secret of my success is being a big guy. But I don't know. It helps in some areas for sure. Yeah,
definitely. And I'm glad you mentioned the sodium bicarb because we've talked about that on the show before. Tell me your experience with it, because if you hadn't seen any of the clips, I basically said, if you've seen your 6th grade science project where you put vinegar and baking soda and the volcano erupts, that's what happens when you drink sodium bicarb. It just erupts out of your ass.
Thankfully, I've never experienced that. I mean, I think I might have had some questionable farts with it, but never to the point where I'm like, rushing to the bathroom. I'm like, it's over for me. But I didn't, I didn't start taking it until this past summer, and obviously, you can take it a bunch of different ways. I've done the pills, like the little tablet things that you got to take 40 or 50 of them for it to be viable. And then I've most recently done the gel, like the Morton's gel. Mm-hmm. That stuff is great. It's kind of like yogurt, but I mean, not as good. But yeah, this past summer, I'd never tried it before, but I knew guys on the college team were experimenting with it and taking it. And Luke Barr, we're at that tier summer meet, and Luke Barr comes up and he's like, "You want to take bicarb?" He's like, "You ever taken it before?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Yeah, you just got to take 40 of these pills. It's based on your body weight."
40?
Oh yeah, and that's the low end, because I think it's 0.2 to 0.5 grams per kilogram of your body weight. So he's like, if you're a bigger guy, you got to take 60 pills maybe.
That sounds insane.
And he shows up to the pool deck, and he's got a plastic baggie full of these white pills, just looking so sus. And he's like, he's just like handing me like handfuls of the pills, and he's like, here you go, you just got to take like 5 at a time. So it looks hilarious. But that was the first time taking it at the Irvine pool, and I felt like it definitely helped. I don't think it helps me during the race as much, but definitely like when I get out of the pool, I don't feel like I want to just die. Like, if you get out of a hard race and you want to just like crawl out of the pool, your legs are shaky. I feel like I could like hop out of the pool and like walk around and be all right. But I think it depends, because I think I'm someone who like produces a lot of lactate, and so I think it helps me a little bit more. But I mean, it's not going to magically make you swim faster, I don't think. Maybe there's some placebo with it for sure, but the times I've taken it, I guess I've swam pretty fast. So that's a testament to it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I could hate on something or not believe in something, but if it makes you perform better, then so be it. Remember, I had a buddy on our team. He would say, if somebody broke the world record and told me that they just ate Cheetos and sat on the couch all day, he said I would try it, and if it worked for me, then I would do it. Like, yeah, it doesn't make sense, but if it made me go fast, then I would do it.
Yeah, and like we actually had basically like the director of track and field. He used to be a professor here at IU, and he actually kind of had a talk with us about the effects and what it is and what it does to your body, studies and things like that. And he's like, basically in track and field, you're behind if you're not taking it. It's like if you were to take protein or creatine, he's like, all these dudes are taking it. He's like, if you're not taking sodium bicarb before a race, he's like, you stand out if you're not taking it.
Interesting.
So for them, I guess it's like the norm, right? But there's different studies, and like up to a certain point, it doesn't do anything. If you only take so much, it doesn't do anything. Half of it's, maybe placebo, but we had people kind of sit down and talk to us like, it's not going to kill you if you take it. It's not going to hurt you if you don't. But, if there is some sort of competitive advantage to it, fuck it.
Right.
You might as well take it.
That's like the exact same thing with ice baths. There's like no studies that show it work, and then there's no studies that show it doesn't work. So if it works for you, then it works.
Yeah. And I'm like, we've got guys on the team who are like, I don't like bicarb. It makes my stomach feel bad. I was like, then don't take it.
Right.
But for someone like me, like it, I feel like I've had great races on it, so I'm probably going to take it.
Are you an ice bath guy?
I used to be, but I'm kind of more of a hot shower guy.
Same.
I'm a hot shower before the race kind of guy. That's my MO.
Hot shower, hot tub, and stretch and meditate.
Yep.
No more ice baths. I was just like, great, now I feel numb. And then after the numbness goes away, it's like, great, now I'm still in pain.
Yeah, like I know people that are like, if it flushes out my legs, I feel better after it. Every time I've done it, I feel stiff. And, the times that I was doing it in college, I didn't have as much weight on me. So I feel like I just sit there and just shiver and lose all of my energy, which, between sessions, it's probably not smart. So I haven't done one in a long time. But that's just me, I guess.
Yeah. You mentioned Pan Pax is in your eyesight. Are you already selected for that team, or what's the selection process like?
Yeah, I'm going to be going. It was weird how they did it, but they picked it off of, I think, 3 or 4 meets this past summer. So if you were, I think, the fastest 2 in an event, maybe, or fastest in an event, but then you had to have, FINA points. I don't know how it worked, but I qualified off that summer meet this past summer. So we're locked in for that. But I don't actually, the nice thing with that meet is like, I don't have to only swim 50 breast. I can swim some other stuff too. So we're going to enter a couple other things. Not the open water race though. I'm not going to be doing that shit.
So what other things are you going to swim?
Probably a 50 fly. I think I can swim a 50 freestyle without there being anything right before it or after it. So we'll do that. And I guess, 100 breast, of course, because I think we can go 57 maybe.
Oh, we look forward to it.
There's a chance. I mean, I didn't think I'd be going 58 a month
true.
ago, and here we are now. So
Why?
anything's possible.
Yeah, who's stopping you?
I guess myself, really.
There you have it. What's the American record in the 100 breast?
We're pretty close. I think we're 5/100ths off of it.
Then we got to go 57, bro.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay, Pan Packs it is. Y'all watch out. Van's going to go 57 at Pan Packs. You heard it here first.
We'll see.
So one thing I found interesting about when I asked you what's in your sights, you mentioned all these other meets, but you left out a really big one that rhymes with Schmo-Olympics. I couldn't think of a rhyme real quick.
Yeah.
So what's up with that?
Well, that's a ways away. I mean,
is it? Comes quick.
It comes quick, but I'm kind of in the mindset right now. It's like one meet at a time. Yeah. I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, my job is I have to be super organized and forward thinking and, planning ahead. It's not that I don't want to be that way with my swimming, but I think you start to get a little bit of shock or fear when you start thinking about the big meets like that. It's not that I'm scared of the Olympics, but, I also don't know how this qualification stuff is going to work. Who knows? I might not even need it if I'm swimming a good 100 at that point. But, I think it's a ways off for me, and I don't want to think that I've got this golden ticket or something to go. I think it's earned, and I still got to earn it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And anything can happen on that day, especially, in the US. It's not like small country like the Bahamas where, it's all right, it's me and another guy, in two different events.
It's a dogfight. I mean, shout out all those guys that, we all race on the regular, and, like you said, you just got to be your best on that day. So it's 2 years away, but I don't know. It's in the back of my mind. I'm not trying to think about it too much.
Yeah. And what do you have you looked into the qualifications for the 50s for the Olympics?
I know what World Aquatics is doing. Mm-hmm. I know it's with the World Cups in that October time frame or something like that. Top 6, I think, maybe out of everybody punch a ticket. But USA Swimming's got different standards and whatnot because the roster size becomes an issue with adding 50s a stroke. So, I'm not going to speak too soon, but I think they're probably going to announce something for that because, 2 years is not too long of a time.
Yeah. You want to do any of the World Cup meets?
I don't know where they're at. It was nice having a few of them in our backyard, like the one up in Carmel and the one up in Chicago. But, I think this next year they're in Uzbekistan, and it's a little bit harder to ask Ray for time off in Uzbekistan or Azerbaijan. So we'll see, maybe. I mean, I think the short course worlds is also this coming fall. So we might summon that too.
I'm sure Ray will give you some time off.
Well, yeah, for the 2027 one, depending on where it is, actually, regardless of where it is, I think I'm gonna go.
Come on, Ray, quit playing. Let the man free.
No, hey, shout out Ray. He's been great in letting me go to Norway and World Cup and all these things because this job is a lot. So even just getting weekends and times like that off, I can't complain. I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah, he's like, get back here. These swimmers need Jimmy Johns.
Yes, actually.
Jimmy John's ain't gonna order itself.
That's right. That's right.
So didn't what was your training like in college? Because from what I believe, it wasn't like what you're doing now, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I came in swimming 200 butterfly, 100 butterfly, 200 IM. That was like my 3 event lineup. So I was doing mid-stroke, I was doing IM practices, things like that coming in. The college schedule is, I think it's like 10, maybe 9 to 10 practices a week, 3 lifts. I mean, it might be kind of standard across the board, but a lot of mid-distance training.
Yeah, it's usually at minimum 3 lifts a week and 6 swims a week at minimum.
Yeah.
And then if you throw in doubles after that for whoever does doubles, yeah, you're easily in that range. So, So you would say you were more, I guess, for the viewers too, you want to talk about like when you graduated, where you graduated from, who you trained with in college, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so I got to IU in 2018. Yeah, it's been a while. 2018, and swam for Ray for most of my career. And it wasn't until obviously we had COVID in there, so there's a little blip. But I got a 5th year out of it, so I swam for 5 years at IU. It wasn't until my last year of college that I moved to sprint and more sprint-oriented training with John. So John kind of became my primary coach in my 5th year, and that's obviously when I had my best year of swimming. Got 2nd in the 100 breast at NCAA's. I think 7th in the 100 free, maybe 9th or 11th. No, yeah, 11th in the 50 free.
What's that got to feel like coming from training this mid-distance, upper mid-distance most of your life and high yardage, and then just switching to high power, strength, low yardage, and sprint? Like, that's just my brain can't fathom going the other way. So I'm wondering, like, and I've seen, I've had friends who swim distance, and then watching them try to sprint is just hilarious. So I'm always curious as to what that feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit of a transition period because you really got to be like, you're more conscious of what you're doing. We kind of had a joke for a while, like, everyone wants to be in sprint group. And because it's always like less swimming in sprint group, but like, one of the hardest working groups out there, man, sprint group. And, coming down from mid distance and yardage training, you're way more detail oriented and focused on what you're actually doing in the pool. Not so much as like building a base or, repeat efforts, hitting pace. So I feel like it wasn't too hard for me to like really maximize my training when I was sprinting. But it's definitely different. I mean, like you said, you can't have some sprinters, they're not going to race a mile. Most distance swimmers aren't throwing down in a 50. Very few can. So, I feel like I always kind of had it in me maybe to bridge the gap a little bit because, maybe I think my sophomore or junior year, I started like swimming on some, 4x2, 4x1 relays. And I started out splitting guys that were in sprint group. And that's kind of why the coaches were like, okay, maybe you can be a sprinter. You're 50. So, I think it wasn't just like a all at once, switch. I think it was kind of gradually like, I think I can do this. And shout out Alex, my old club coach. He's like, Van, he's like, you're a Ferrari. He's like, don't let them turn you into a lawnmower. He's like, you got to stay a Ferrari. And so I think that Ferrari was always in there. But yeah,
that's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah, he's Alex. Shout out Alex, man. He's full of those analogies. But he's like, don't let them turn you into a lawnmower.
Lawnmower is crazy. I would usually say like a barge or a semi truck or something. Dude said lawnmower.
Yeah.
So you mentioned like John kind of used you as this guinea pig for trying some of this niche stuff out of Australia. I repeat that because I think that's funny. Do you think, or have you seen the coaches kind of take that, what they've tested with you, and implement it into the college routine with some of those swimmers, or into the sprint group or other groups?
Yeah. So I won't, dig too much into what those guys were doing exactly, but there was myself and Finn and Brian, where we had kind of like a super sprint group, is what we coined it, was super sprint. And then we had a couple of college guys that would join us and maybe do a little bit more than what we were doing for what they were swimming, but it wasn't too much more. And then you kind of had the breaststroke side of it. Like, me, Finn, and Brian were all breaststrokers. So, there's kind of like, there was like a spectrum of breaststroke, basically. You had your strict 200 guys, and then you had your guys that were like 100, 200, and then maybe like could swim a 50. And we kind of bridged the gap a little bit there. But there were definitely a few sprint guys this past year that, John started trying some of the stuff out that we were doing with them, and like some of the results. So, we were kind of like the front line of the experiments, but there was definitely stuff that was getting brought over. And, honestly, if John tried something out with the college guys, he was like, hey, we might benefit from this too. It was a little bit, mutual. So.
No, that's a smart way to do it. Like he had a free guinea pig to use, and then watching the success, I would definitely be copying or mimicking a lot of that. And I think it's cool that you've had a lot of success in the hundreds as well, because one of the big pushbacks we get on our channel, when, either Cam comes on, or we talk about this type of low yardage training, high intensity training, the first thing anyone says is, well, he can't finish 100, or you will never be able to finish more than a 50. Because I think the mindset is, oh, they just sprint 12 and a halves all day. They can't go to the hot tub. So with your success in the 100 doing, similar, if not the same stuff as Cam, what would you say, what is the tweak you've done to the training to be able, I think I know the answer, but I would want to hear you say it, at least for the audience.
Yeah. Well, if you think of it, like a spectrum, you've got your traditional training, which is kind of on like the right end. And then you've got Cam, who's like, pushing the boundaries of what, you could get and still be really great at, a 50 or sprint event. So I'd say I'm definitely swimming a little bit more than Cam. I'm not doing, what was it, like 13? It was a strange number. It didn't even add up to like an even number. It was like 1355 or something. I'm definitely doing more than that. So like, but I'm doing way less than what, the college sprinters are doing through a week. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely more yardage in there. I'm not going to deny it, but it's not, you look at it and you still be like, that's not much.
Yeah.
And I'd say like a typical weekly total, training wise, like maybe when we're kind of like in our peak training with this kind of training, high volume, so to speak, maybe like 10 to 12K a week, so 2,000 a workout tops.
Yeah.
And when we kind of like are building into a meet, it's probably more like 8,000.
Yeah.
But, as far as like the success in the 100, it's still a little fresh. So we're still trying to figure out what we did to make that 100 so good. I don't know if we quite have the answer yet. Let's see how we do the rest of the summer. Mm-hmm. replicate it a couple more times. But yeah, it's like there's definitely levels to it.
Yeah.
Maybe Cam's like here and we're somewhere here, and then your traditional training's like way up here.
Way up there. Yeah. Yeah. Really, the answer with this type of training, when it comes to the 100, 200, anything, honestly, the sauce is in that speed endurance stuff you were talking about. And that's what I found to be, there's the short, let me see, low volume, high rep versus high volume, low rep. Yeah. So yeah, the sauce for that 100 is going to be, I hate to use that. No, I'm not going to use that term. I'll just say speed endurance. We'll stick with that. It's working on that speed endurance. It's at the beginning of the season, it's trying to get how fast can I get? And then when you transition to work that 100, it's how long can I hold that fast that I now have? Yeah. And a lot of traditional programs, they do it the other way. It's how aerobic can I get? And then now that I have all this aerobic, what can I do? Can I go fast? And it doesn't work like that, because it's way harder to get fast than it is to stay fast.
Yeah, well, and it's like, especially when we started out, it was like, whoa, we're ripping some crazy times for maybe like a 50 or a 25. And then like the speed's there, but it's just like, how can you maintain speed the rest of the way? Which I feel like is easier to do than speed up from the very start, right? If like you don't have the sauce in the first bit, you're not going to have it on the second bit either.
Right.
So, maintaining is definitely easier than creating, for sure.
Exactly. An aerobic base isn't going to save you when you have no speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, that 100, like we definitely did some, some extra speed endurance, I think, in the weeks leading up to it. That probably was a little bit of a help.
Yeah, you definitely want to do the speed endurance stuff towards the end of the season, like right before. I'm not going to use the word taper. Right before you peak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So front season is fully loaded with high speed, a lot of rest, low yardage, and then as you get towards the end, then you start putting in some of that speed endurance stuff, and then you hit your peak.
Yeah. No, and like, I will say, like, one of the things to your point earlier is what's different is, you might do like a 7K workout and be gassed, but like, we'll do a 1500, practice, and I'm just as gassed, if not more, but from a different reason. Right. Yeah. So like there have been some practices. I mean, I think in my time swimming, there's maybe only been once or twice where I felt like I want to throw up during a practice just because like from working so hard. And I can name you maybe like more than 10 times this past like 8 months where I've been like, I got a yak, just because it's tough and it's hard on the body, but in a different way.
Yeah. The only times I've ever gotten close to throwing up was this type of training. No 8K, 10K workout has ever made me want to throw up.
Yeah. There was a bit there, like every Wednesday, like I get through like maybe my third or fourth 50 off the blocks, 475, and I'm like, it's time, John. I'm sorry. He's like, all right, see you in 15 minutes. It's like, I got to go get these demons out real quick.
It's time.
Yeah, I'm like, I mean, you could like see it on my face. Like, I got to let something out.
You just start salivating and you're like, oh, it's coming.
Well, it's usually, it wouldn't hit me like right after. It's once my heart rate starts to like come back down, and I'm like, oh no, something's not right. Because I think for a while the lactate was going right to my stomach and not my limbs. And so I'd be like, nah, I gotta throw up. Like my body would feel all right, but I'm like, nah, I gotta yak.
My theory has always been like it's part of like the adrenaline rush you have in training and like kind of that fight or flight mode. and kind of like blocks the pain. So once the race is over and then all of that goes away, you're just left with the after effects, and you're like, oh gosh, what have I done?
Yeah, but it feels so much better after you're done throwing up.
Cam sent me like 4 weeks he sent me a long block of his training program, and I've been like trying to go through it. And I think the first 2 weeks, there was this one workout. I swear that the main set was like 925s total.
Yeah.
Broken up into maybe sets of 3 or something like that. I don't remember. And I think when I got to like the 4th or the 5th one, I was like, I'm going to get out. I can't do this.
Yeah.
I had to sit there and really think to myself. I was like, am I this bad? Or this is kicking my ass.
Well, it's like, it's probably because you at least in my case, I was like, I've never like exerted myself or like tried to be that fast, like I feel like in a long practice, like you're never like pushing the gas pedal all the way, maybe at like the very end, but like from the get-go, you're like, all right, all systems go, we're sprinting as hard as we can. Right. And you're like, I feel like your nervous system and your heart are like, what the fuck's going on? Mm-hmm. But that's kind of why we're doing it. So when we get to the race, it's like, oh, this isn't so bad.
Yeah. And I'll see coaches post online like their fast sets, quote unquote. And it's like, oh, we did 1025s fast today. They were on 20 seconds. And I'm like, nobody's doing 1025s on 20 seconds and going all out. You can't.
I mean, if you do, like, I feel like you'd probably get a lot out of it, but you got to go to a dark place to get all 1025s.
There's humanly, you'll probably get 3.
Your brain, I don't think your brain's wired to, it wants to protect yourself from those kinds of things. So unless you just have reckless abandon and you're just, gung ho, you can't get all of that out.
Yeah. I was like, you need to cut that set in half and quadruple the amount of rest, first of all. And maybe we're talking. Maybe.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure.
So you got pan packs next. I had a question. I can't remember what it was. It had to do with breaststroke. Do you feel breaststroke is going to be like your pinnacle? Is that going to be your marquee event?
Probably. I mean, I did just go pretty fast.
Yeah.
USA Swimming is definitely going to want me to be swimming some breaststroke in the near future. I'll say that. But I feel like it comes from my club days and shout out my club coaches, Alex, Gary, Cindy. They never let me swim just one thing throughout my career. I always had to swim every race on a meet schedule at least once a year. So like you swim a mile, you swim a 4 a.m. because it gives you perspective. And like if you hop in and you do 100 fly, you're like, fuck, man, I just swam a mile like a month ago. Like this is nothing. So keeping you kind of open to all the strokes. Like, I was an IMer at one point in my career. So I'm going to swim some sprint freestyle coming up. I do swim some butterfly. Maybe not as much as I should in training, but I'll do it at meets. And then I'm not going to spoil anything, but I might be racing backstroke at some point in the future.
Oh, God.
And fair warning, like my backstroke ain't great. So we'll see.
You're just coming for everybody's lunch.
I don't know I don't know.
What more do you want, man? You already got the breaststroke. You already taken the free. Now you're coming for fly and back.
I don't. Ray would always used to tell me, he's like, your backstroke, like, how you take a turtle and you like flip it on its back and it like freaks out. He's like, that's kind of what your backstroke looks like. And I'll tell you right now, like technically I'm not working on anything in backstroke. So we're just kind of going to do it and see what happens. But
oh my God, hide your wife, hide your kids. This man's coming for everybody's strokes. Jesus.
But Finn, shout out Finn. Finn's going to be doing some backstroke too. He, it's like when you're done with breaststroke and freestyle, you take a break and you do some backstroke. I do a lot of backstroke in practice. I'm just yanking on the lane line all the time.
Oh, for sure. But you don't think
I'm lane line puller number one. I'm notorious. Like I'm breaking the little donuts and the buoys on the lane line.
You don't think training for backstroke is going to distract from training for breaststroke or any other?
Well, I'll give you a secret right now. I'm not going to train for backstroke. We're just going to do it and see what happens. It's not like a priority right now, but it might become a fun side quest. Like, I think a more deeper thought and, nugget of wisdom is like, it's got to be fun, and swimming's got to be fun. So it's like, if you're not challenging yourself in new ways, whether it be, doing a different type of training or maybe swimming backstroke when you don't swim backstroke, like that for me is fun. That keeps it fun. Like I feel like if I'm just going to be a 100 breaststroker for the rest of these days, I won't get as much out of that,
I will warn you, racing backstroke without training backstroke is painful.
Oh, I did a 50 backstroke this past summer because I was like, I don't want to do breaststroke anymore. I'm not going to do fly or free. I was like, fuck it, we'll do backstroke. I had to sit on the wall after for maybe 20 minutes and just gather myself because I'd never felt such a bad pain. I mean, I swam like 100 backstroke, 200 backstroke, like back in the day. That was the hardest swimming has ever felt, I think, was that 50 backstroke. But yeah, I'm prepared. I mean, I think it's the only thing I'm doing on one of the days. So I got my calendar cleared.
You heard it here first on Night Swim. Another first. The American record holder in the 50 breaststroke just said, "I don't want to swim anymore breaststroke."
All right, that was in practice. All right. that would be quite the stunt, though, right? If I just said, "I think I'm done with breaststroke for now. I'm gonna fully invest in distance freestyle."
Go right ahead. Hey, announce you got the platform. Go ahead and announce it. You mentioned your club coaches kind of made you swim a little bit of everything, and that kind of brought back a memory. I think a few years ago, I want to say it's Swimming Australia that instituted that rule across their age group swimmers, where I think you had to swim every event maybe once or twice before you turned 14 or something like that. Or like there was a certain cutoff when it was like, okay, now you can start specializing or choosing what you want to do, because there was like a huge epidemic of everybody just wanting to swim the 50 free or the whatever, So I always wonder if that had any impact on, the swimming world, or if it just kind of, they saw no change. I'm always interested in that.
I think, I can attest. I feel like it had a big impact on me. I mean, I feel like I'm a big proponent of it because, you don't know what you like until you try it, especially in the swimming world. A mile is not for me, and I experienced that firsthand. But, I think as a young kid, trying everything, because I probably wouldn't be here where I am today if it weren't for, swimming breaststroke when I was little and doing all the strokes, because, if you're not at least taught it technically correct, you're never going to do it. If you get to college, you're not going to expect to have a breaststroke if you never really swam it at a young age either. So I'm huge. I'm all for it. Like trying everything and doing it all. 'Cause, specializing and getting into power and all those kinds of things, you can do that later in life, but trying everything first, it's huge.
Mm-hmm. You made a comment that you think USA Swimming would want you doing some more breaststroke in the future. Have you met the new CEO, and have you gotten any support from USA Swimming? I would say financially, now that you're the American record holder, you think they'd be like, all right, here's money, do something.
Yeah, I've been on a couple big groups like Zooms with Kevin, and I've seen him around at meets, and he's a great guy. A few times, talked to him and heard him speak. So, I'm all for him. But now being a part of the national team this past summer, I do get some benefit and some help there, which is nice. I do get the income from it and from my job, so I'm stacking coin. But I think it's getting better. They've recently bumped up the stipend for national athletes, which I think is great. I think the top performers and even the guys that are on the fringe should be supported to push through and make their way on the national team. So it's moving in the right direction. I definitely do get some benefit from it. Like I recently picked up a Normatec. Oh man, that thing's great. The Normatec legs, I abuse those things, man.
What is a Normatec leg?
It's like the Hyper Ice makes these like compressible.
Oh, those.
leads.
Yeah. For those of you listening who don't know what that is, if you've seen pictures of mostly football players probably use them a lot. So those like big sock leg things that go all the way up through your thigh, and they just look like giant snow boots almost, and they have like compression that goes in and it flushes you out basically.
Yeah. So I got a pair of those, and those are life-changing. At least to like have your own, I feel like maybe most college teams have like sets of them that they have in their athletic training facilities, but to have one like right next to your bed, and you're like, I got to use it, right?
Yeah, one of my splurges when I was training pro was the electro stim machine. You put the pads on you, and then it.
Oh yeah,
and not the one you get like in the mall from that dude at the kiosk. Like this was like the legit real one.
This one's like sending like ampage through your body.
Yeah. Just crank that up to 11. Just get at it. So
it's nice.
Do you get any prize money for going the American record? I'm just curious.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know all the specifics. Like all this stuff is new to me, probably as it is to you, because this is my first time on the national team, so I'm just experiencing all this stuff for the first time. But I don't beats me. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking world record. I think World Aquatics gives you a little something.
Yeah, I hope they might send me like a nice like piece of paper in the mail that I can hang up. But who knows?
Yeah, it's like, hey, we know you trained your entire life to do this, the fastest time any American has ever gone. Here's a text message.
No, I mean, I don't know. I think down the line, I think that if we just keep getting faster, like there's probably more in store for it. But who knows? Do
you have like a goal time you want to go in 50 breasts or 100 breasts? I mean, you said 57 and 100, but what about, you think you can lower the American record any further?
Yeah. I mean, like we obviously with this training and, working with John, like we're at the point where we can like replicate good times in practice Wednesdays and Saturdays. And, I think Cam said it too. And talking to you guys, like, he doesn't have to like magically wake up and be this superhuman person to go 20.8, right? Like he's done the speed and the work through practice. So he's like, oh, this is like, I just got to be like maybe 75% at my best to just, do what I can do. So I think we're like getting to that point, and that philosophy is really resonates. Like, I can go 26s in practice a lot of the time. So it's like, how do we just keep pushing that so that when we're at the meet, then we can start going 26 low, maybe creep up to that 25 barrier at some point. But, if I'm doing it in practice, like, why can't I do it in the meet?
Right. Man, these is some crazy times you're throwing out. I'm excited for you to see, you do some of this stuff. And I'm actually a little surprised. Well, you did say why you went to Norway, but you got Fort Lauderdale tier pro swim, something in Fort Lauderdale happening right now as we speak. Katie Ledecky just went, another fast time of one of her fastest times of however many fast times she's going to go for the rest of her life. So excited to see what happens down there. Did you not want to do like a Norway Fort Lauderdale double, or just rather do the Norway versus?
It probably would have been possible, but like, the one thing is I always got to take in consideration, like, being a director of ops in my job, because it's like, yeah, that would be sick to go from Norway racing into Florida and just carry the momentum, but like, I got things I got to take care of here, and and people I got to look after. So it would be nice. Like, I know I could probably perform pretty well, but we're going to save that for a later date.
Yeah. I just figured it would have been cool to do the American record, like, in America, or so. I don't know.
Well, we'll get some chances this summer,
Oh, for sure.
See. But yeah, it is funny, like, to throw down those times when I wasn't anywhere near U.S. soil. But that's okay. I mean, hopefully there's more fast swims in the future for me.
Yeah, I kept seeing all these, all the articles talking about the swim meet in Norway, the Bergen Swim Invitational. That's what it was called. Swim Festival. And I was like, what is this meet? Is this some weird town in Indiana I've never heard of? I was like, oh shit, they're in Norway.
Yeah. No, I mean, once again, shout out Marcus and Bergen, because that's an awesome meet. And, like, I feel like there's definitely things that, USA Swimming and like the pro series meets could like take away from those meets that are popping up, like Stockholm and all those international meets. Cause like, or the China Open, for example, they're trying to make the spectacle bigger, and like meets like that, like, it was a great time. I feel like the couple tier pro series I've been to in the morning, like, it's, energy might be a little low, attendance might not be quite there. And, I think if you just sink some more time into it, like, you could have great experiences and meets like that year round, especially in the States. Like, fuck, it's such a big country and there's so many people and so much money. Like, I don't see why we can't have that here too.
Yeah. I may be biased, but I think the best swim meets are in the Caribbean. Man, you got the DJ on deck. You got like people with instruments in the crowd. You got like parents going crazy. People are drinking in the stands, just partying. Like, I always tell this story. I'm like, at a swim meet, it's like, take your marks, and it's like super quiet. And then as soon as you hear go, like, as you're in the air, you hear the DJ like kick the set back on. And then as you're underwater, you can like feel the bass just.
Yeah.
So like, you have no excuse but to swim fast at a swim meet in the Caribbean. I'm like, man, if they could just replicate this elsewhere.
No, I was sick. Like, I remember like some kid brought one of those like vuvuzelas up in his hands. It was just like going crazy. I was like, man, we just need more of that, But just talking with like some of the people and meet organizers, like, almost every kid in Bergen learns how to swim, like, is forced to learn how to swim. So like, everybody's been around the sport and like appreciates it. Even if they're not a great swimmer, they're like, oh, they'll come out and they'll support a swim meet. And, that's definitely a different culture than over here in the States. So like, most people don't have access to a pool like that. So, I think there's probably a lot of reasons, but I don't see why we can't get there at some point.
Yeah. I think I know your answer to this already, but I've asked almost everybody on this show, so I'm going to ask you too. How do you feel about the enhanced games?
I'm in the boat where it's like, I get why people are joining for the monetary, reasons. Like, I understand it. Like, if you want to get paid, get paid. That's definitely an avenue to take. But I, personally, it's not something that I would partake in. But like, I completely get why people are turning to it as a solution for making money, right? Like, they're throwing a lot of money at it. They're trying to make it big. But I'm in the camp where I'm just kind of indifferent towards it.
Yeah. Even if you, let's say you were allowed to go like the Hunter Armstrong route, like, okay, you can come train with us. You can come, benefit from the catered food, the doctors, the massage therapists. We'll give you another Versamax or whatever the hell you just called it. But you don't have to take any of the enhancements. You can just get paid and train in a different location.
I don't know. I feel like the way I was raised, like, there's definitely more to it than that. And there's always consequences and reactions for what you do. So, it's one of those things where I just don't want to put my hand in the cookie jar.
Yeah.
You probably could get out with a couple cookies, but or that thing could come crashing down on your head. So I'm just indifferent towards it. Like,
yeah,
hooray for the people that are doing it. Cool. Good for you. It's not for me.
Yeah. Did you ever cross paths with Cody Miller down there in IU?
Yeah. I mean, Cody was, before he joined and whatnot, like, I was swimming with him pretty regularly. Like,
okay.
He was still vlogging and stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, definitely spent some time with Cody, and shout out Cody. But, obviously when he joined and whatnot, it's just, we don't, he's off doing his own thing. And that's what I'll say about that.
Did you see it coming, or did he just kind of surprise everybody with it one day? Like, hey, guess what? Deuces, I'm doing this thing.
I think he thought about it for a long time, and definitely, talked with his family and whatnot, and really thought it over before he made that decision. But, I don't think it was some like 180 completely shocking announcement like it might have been to some of his fans. But, I think he definitely has his reasons for joining and whatnot. And, I think he's, from when I've talked to him, seems like he's having a good time out there. So, if he's happy, good for him.
Right? Do what you
Yeah.
gonna do. And that's like right around the corner, May 24th, I think.
Something like that. I think it May whenever.
Whatever Memorial Day weekend is, I think that's what they're doing, which is interesting because I haven't seen as much marketing as I would have hoped or thought I would see for an event that's been such over a year build up and all this money they pumped into it. Now it's like, is the event even still happening?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if I could tie it into something like, I feel like marketing is a big thing, because, man, when we were in Norway, like, I might not have been up on the signage and stuff, but you're like walking around downtown and they got like Lucas Martins and they got Steenbergen and they got, like all the big people of like this meet showing up just like everywhere. And it's like, I feel like that's not too hard to do. So I can't speak on what Enhanced Games is doing with their marketing. I feel like if you want to have a big event, that's a key piece.
Yeah, it tells the story, So now when not a diehard fan, but maybe somebody who saw, some of that marketing and decides, hey, let's bring the kids out here to see some swimmers. They now have in their head, like, I saw that guy on that sign. He must be good. I'm going to watch this guy or girl. So, it definitely plays a huge piece into it.
Yeah. Or they'll see someone and they'll be like, who is that? And then shoot, Google's just a click away. And then you kind of like, you're into the world of swimming that way too.
Yeah. It always disappoints me how, at least in America, swimming is really only known every 4 years, like leading into the Olympics, at the Olympics, and then shortly after the Olympics. Leading leading into the Olympics, at the Olympics, and shortly after the Olympics is when swimming is really known. And then even then, it's like maybe 2 athletes who really get the big push. You know, it'd be like a Katie Ledecky and a Caleb Dressel, or Michael Phelps, Ryan Lochte. And there's just so many more great athletes, so much to go around, you know, because then what happens after those people retire or move on or don't show up to a meet, then you just have this gaping gap, this huge hole in the market for what?
Yeah. It's definitely like a huge untapped, you know, so many stories and, you know, a lot beneath the surface that you could get into. And I feel like unless you're doing the digging yourself, or like, you know, you have someone with a shovel that's like throwing it at you constantly, you're not going to know much of it, you know. Mm-hmm. But I think that's what people are trying to push for, is kind of like lengthen out those storylines, you know, kind of start building them early so that you get more excitement around the Olympics, because, you know, that definitely is the shining moment in swimming, and I'd say a lot of other Olympic sports too. But, you know, it's tough when you got to compete with you know, other sports nationally that are just huge markets and constantly on TV.
Yeah. And it's kind of, I mean, as we're talking, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm talking to the American record holder. Like, where's your billboard? Where's your big sponsorship? You know, like, where's your commercial? Like, what's going? You're just like, oh, that guy broke the American record. Here's a Swim article. What?
Yeah, you know, and unfortunately, like, I feel like I play into that too, because I'm like a low key guy. I'm not trying to put myself out there all the time. I don't know if I just have it in me or what. Some people are made to do that, but, you know, I just go about my business, and, you know, whatever comes with it comes with it. But yeah, unless like you got some people doing that for you, you know, it stays in the dark.
See, man, you're part of the problem.
I am. I will admit it, I'm part of the problem, but, you know, hey, to be fair, I got a lot of other shit going on in my life outside of swimming. So, you know, whatever comes from the swimming world and whatnot, like, I'll happily take it. But, you know, it's not who I am.
Yeah.
It's not company, all of me is, you know.
No company has reached out with a, hey, wear our stuff, we'll give you a little bit of money to do so.
A few. I'm not going to name them, but, you know, I told a few of them too. Like, I'm busy. Like, I'll get back to you. You know,
that.
So maybe down the line, but right now it's like, it's not a big, you know, make or break moment for me. Like, this wouldn't be, you know, I'd definitely be grateful for it, but monetarily or things like that, it wouldn't be, you know, a life-changing event. Like, I already got a job here. I'm making some money. So, you know, I know for some people, like, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to grab at something like that, you know, right away. But we'll see. Like, there's definitely like brands that I want to work with, you know, maybe get a free suit every once in a while. Those things are expensive for sure.
I am 200% certain you will have no problem getting a free suit ever.
Yeah, but that's all, you know, that's kind of all I need. Like, I don't need 100 free suits. I just give me one to race.
Whoa. Hey. Don't let anyone hear you say that. Hey, I'm gonna edit that part out. Hey, sounds like you need I'm gonna manage you. I'm gonna be your manager, and we're gonna get you paid. And we're we'll be nice about it. We'll tell Ray Luz, my fault. Coach Ray Luz, he's gonna have to find another director of ops. We'll give him a note. We'll give him notice.
Maybe down the line. For now, I'm very content with where I'm at. But, you know, maybe after 28, we'll see where things stand for sure.
After 28, oh my, you're right. You are really low key.
Yeah, I don't need much to be happy.
Cool. Well, do you have anything in your notes that I didn't get to ask that you want to share? You mentioned you had some notes on the side there.
The only notes I have were like my weekly training cycle.
Share that. I want to hear that.
I got into a little bit on like what I do Friday, but basically what it is Monday, Friday, speed endurance and dryland, like I mentioned. Tuesday, Thursday, kind of like a, dare I say, aerobic, but just kind of like moving and doing some pull and some kick and more stroke mechanics than anything, making sure like the details aren't getting sloppy.
I would just call that technique, not aerobic.
Well, like I get the heart rate up a little bit, but I'm not doing a 4,000 red set. I'm just making sure the blood's pumping. And then we'll lift on Tuesday. Current cycle, at least, we'll lift on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then Wednesday and Saturday are like race prep. So like, we'll warm up, suit up, go off the blocks for repeat. Maybe it's like 450s on 10 minutes, right? Something like that. So we're getting the race details in during the week, but that's kind of like the weekly cycle. And then, depending on where we're at in the year, we'll cut the weights or maybe we'll do a little bit more in the pool. It just depends on what's coming up.
It's funny you say 450s on 10 minutes, and I'm sure there's going to be people listening being like, oh my gosh, that's so much rest. But dude, I'm like, once we're hitting, I'm like 8 minutes already. Like, can we add another 4 minutes? Like, is it like I'm hurting?
Like when I started too, I was like, I think it might've been, we did like maybe 375s, 12 minutes. And you like get to the 8th minute and like the old swimmer in me was like, man, like I should be going right now. But like John's like, nah, you keep taking some rest. Like you got to let your heart rate come down. And we also kind of like let the lactate sit and we don't do much cool down afterwards. So you're kind of training your body to handle a post-race feel. And yeah, you sitting there for like 4 minutes. And now by the end of those 475s, I'm sitting there with like my head in my hands, try not to throw up. So, it's definitely different from what a club swimmer might experience with, like 450s on like 2 minutes or 3 minutes, right? Way less rest.
Yeah. It's the crazy thing about this type of training too, is the better you get at it, or the faster you become, the harder it gets. Like the better it gets, the harder it gets.
Oh, like I 100% agree. Especially like for a while we love to do 75s, like 75 short course yards off the blocks, and like the first one would be lights out. Second one gets a little bit harder, and and by the fourth one I'm like, fuck, I'm cooked, right? But like not because I'm out of shape or anything, but just because I'm working, the anaerobic systems right. I'm building that lactate. I'm actually sprinting at my top end speed, taking the limiter off. So, yeah, it's hard, and I feel like it's harder. It's almost harder as you go because you're starting to push your body more.
Right. It's like if you took a Toyota Camry on the track and just floored it, and then you took a Lamborghini on the track and floored it, and you'd be like, all right, which one of them burned more gas?
Yeah, for sure. Like you'd be surprised. The Lamborghini, it takes a lot more fuel and expensive fuel to get going.
And those tires are burnt out. You got to swap them tires out quick. That's probably the best way to describe it. It's like the faster you can go, the worse it's going to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, shit. Well, hey, man, like, thanks for coming out here and hanging out with us. I say us.
I mean, it is just us.
It's just us chickens out here hanging out in cell block D over there. And it really looks like you're in a jail cell or like a high school.
You can see the pool right out there.
Oh shit! Are you like upstairs and I'm looking down, or is this just right outside the door?
No, this is like this is my office. Like that door leads into another office, and then right out there is the pool deck. So I'm like right off the pool deck.
I can see the pool, and I feel like I can see the record board.
Yeah, that's one of the banners we have out there. But
That's crazy.
yeah, I'm right here. So like when I'm working, I'm like, all right, got to get my practice in. I'll just step out up on the deck and swim. It's
You're
right there.
just in the office in a Speedo brief on the keyboard.
I'm not gonna lie, there have been times where like I've had to check my email or my phone, and someone will like walk in and they're like, oh God, because like the desk level, it'll look like I'm just butt ass naked in my chair. But I try not to do that too often because I feel like the people that are in here all the time, they're used to it now. Like they'll be like, oh, okay, I get it. But a couple times I've had people that don't come in here often. They're like, oh sorry, am I interrupting something?
They leave the office and they're like, yo, there's a dude with a 1970s porno mustache just buck naked on his laptop. I didn't check what he was doing, but
yeah. But
that is crazy. I've swam at that pool a couple times. And they had the power racks that go like the whole 50 meters, which is pretty. I feel like that's too much. That's overkill. You don't need to go 50 meters on a pulley.
But having the option to is nice.
Right. But I can if I want to.
Yeah, that's basically, that's one of the things is like we got hella pulleys. We got all shapes and sizes. So it's like if you really want to, you can. We're not going to limit you that way. Like, some teams got like maybe 1-2 towers and they're like, yeah, we do resistance training, but we do resistance training over here.
I feel like do you think you'll stay in Bloomington like post 2028? Like, are you locked in there or?
Maybe. I love Bloomington. It's become home away from home, like college town, especially like shout out IU football. We're actually doing something now. But no, I haven't gotten that far yet. Yeah. I could see myself doing it, but that's like I said, that's a ways away.
Yeah, you definitely live in a different world, like in a college town when you work like at the college or especially, and then you're in a different world when you work in college athletics.
Yeah, no, it was something because my first year, like there were still, I'd say maybe 1 or 2 classes, at least one class of people that I swam with on the team. Like they were freshmen when I was a 5th year senior. So like that was kind of something to get used to of like, nah, I'm an employee. I can't I can't really hang out with you guys on a Friday, Saturday night. But that's kind of phased out now that I'm getting older. But
yeah, you're the team uncle now.
I am. Like they give me a lot of shit for being old, but
yes, dude, I feel like you and I have lived like a very similar life post college. But like they used to give me shit too, and I'd be like, guess what? My fat ass will come in here and whoop all y'all. Say something now.
Yeah, I mean, they like to talk their shit, but let's step up on the blocks. Let's actually see something.
Yeah, American record, bitch. Like, talk to me now.
Yeah. So, I mean, those guys like to talk shit, but it's all fun.
Yeah, sure. They should. It's healthy. It's. Oh yeah. You gotta flex the ego.
It's like a good environment too because it motivates them. Like the breaststrokers on the current college team, they're like, "Fuck, man, this old guy's dropping these times. Like, I gotta step up. I want to be there." So, it works both ways. Like I see what they're doing at NCAAs, and I'm like, "Shit, man, I wish I could get back in there and show those guys what's up." So, no, it's a 2-way street for sure.
That's awesome, man.
And it's unique for recruiting too. I'll tell you that. Like, if can I plug something?
Plug.
If there's anybody that wants to move to Bloomington and be a training partner, hit me up because we're looking for some people. Oh. If you want to train, this is the place because I need some people to swim with. No offense to John, but like I can't train with John. I can't swim with John all the time. Like he's got to be on deck coaching.
What a plug. It's like, hey, if you're a recruit and you swim breaststroke and you want to train with the the fastest man in America ever, come to IU. Wow.
Well, that goes for your young kids, but I'm looking for the unks too. Where the pros at?
Oh.
I'm
Oh.
we got a pro group here. It's small, but it's mighty. But we're looking to expand.
We got a pro. Oh my good. That gives me some ideas. No, I'm not.
I'm just saying, my buddies Finn and Brian left me for job opportunities, so I'm lonely. That's what I'm trying to say.
Hey, somebody get out here and train with this man. Who would be your ideal training partner?
I don't even know, man. Just someone who enjoys it. I'm not gonna train with someone who fucking complains all the time.
I think it'd be interesting, like, see you and Michael Andrew train together, 50 breasts, 100 breasts.
I'd love to do like training trips and get out and see people. Like, got a lot of friends out at Texas Ford, with Coley and those guys, but like my job just doesn't let me go take off 2 weeks and just say see ya. As nice as that would be. So maybe down the line in the future we can maybe make it happen. But I'm kind of like stuck here, like you said, in the prison blocks over here.
Yeah. See, once I start managing you and you get like a $500K a year job, then we can cut Ray loose free, and then go take these training trips.
We'll see. No, I'm happy here. I love it here. There's a reason I came back and am doing this job, because I definitely wouldn't want to be anywhere else right now.
That's good. And tell Ray Luz I'm just talking shit. Don't come after me.
He knows. He knows he's got me right now.
God. All right. Well, man, again, thank you for coming on. Congrats on your American record. And
thanks.
I'm going to try to do Dax's outro. I swear he has that thing memorized. It's like, the lifeguards are coming back. We got to get going, or else we're going to end up in the clinker. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Click that noti bell so people can find us or something. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna plug something, because I always forget to do it.
Plug away.
I'm gonna plug. Go and check out Burrow's Best. We got body wash, lotion for after swim. Gets that chlorine out. It's the only product on the market that actually works. Can I get sued if I say that? It's the only product on the market, in my experience, that I found that works compared to other products of similar nature. There. Allegedly. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You always got to say allegedly these days. Yeah. So there's my
fine print.
Yeah. So Van, do you have any parting words for the people at home?
No, man. Thanks for having me on. It's great. Hopefully keep swimming fast this summer, and stay tuned, I guess.
Awesome. So with all that said, good night from Night Swim.